Well, welcome back into the leadoff spot. Danny Waxman and Steve Phillips. We are getting wooed big time right now. Katie Woo from The Athletic, who's covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, was in St. Louis previously, moved out to L.A. up bright and early for us out in Los Angeles. Katie, welcome in. Danny and Steve, how are you?
Well, with an intro like that, I probably can't be any better. Thank you to both of you for having me on this Friday, two of my favorites. Let's talk some Dodgers baseball.
Let's talk some ball. Let's do it. So as Steve said, Katie, first of all, thanks for waking up bright and early for us, but also the fact that this is your first season covering the Dodgers. You did such a wonderful job covering the St. Louis Cardinals through a lot of ups and downs, but the Dodgers now, what has that been like, just learning this team, learning the system, and adjusting to a global superstar team?
Yeah, that's a great question because, you know, for all the time that I spent in St. Louis, and I really, truly loved my time there, it's a different market in LA. And you think about going back to the coast and it's a bigger market. Well, the Dodgers aren't just a big market in the United States. They are a global team with reach out in Japan, reach basically all over the globe. So that has been a bit of an adjustment, but it's also been such a great learning opportunity to go and follow a team full of superstars, several Hall of Famers, to learn from Dave Roberts. This has been so much fun. I can't believe we're almost in June. I feel like I just blinked at spring training, but that's where we're at. That's where we're at, guys. And it's been I expect the learning opportunities to continue because, as we know with this Dodgers team, they will be playing late into October, and that is unfortunately not something I experienced in St. Louis. So looking forward to that as well.
So, Katie, what is the one thing that you've learned? Obviously a lot, but what's the one thing you've learned about the Dodgers that you didn't know before going out there?
What I think has really surprised me is when you walk into that clubhouse, you see just how serious they are about their work. And that's not to suggest that any other clubhouse isn't, obviously. But when you have a team that's back-to-back World Series champions, they, again, have all the pedigree and the superstars and the Hall of Famers. You know, I think it's maybe when you're on the outside, you can look and see there's probably a lot of ego there. Why wouldn't there be? And there's truly not. This is a group of guys, and it was so clear in the first week of spring training, that is so convicted in accomplishing their ultimate goal, which is, as we know, a third straight World Series, first team in the National League to ever do so, if that is the case. And they are so committed to their work. They show up and it is a different mode. You know, they laugh, they get along, don't get me wrong, they're still boys being boys, but there's a different kind of mode that they shift into when it's time to get to the field. Everyone's there for early work. Everyone's taking their BP. They take infield every single day. And the commitment to this goal, even with the load management and guys getting days off and, you know, the Dodgers being able to work a 6-man rotation, every single person in that clubhouse is committed to showing up and getting their work done. And when the game starts, they truly shift into different people. It's been fun to watch. And you see now, or I can see firsthand, why they've been so successful because of the way they approach their work as they get to the yard every day.
We talk a lot about the depth too, Katie, to your point. Like, these are guys who have been there and done that. But then when a younger guy might come up, he kind of assimilates, it feels very quickly, which feels like an organizational positive for them. But you have different guys who are able to play different roles. There's an article you wrote in The Athletic about Mookie Betts that I really liked because, number one, he was honest and transparent that the online vitriol, the online basement dwellers are loud right now. So he ended up deleting his social media, and he's working through some things right now. What have you learned about Mookie Betts and, you know, his ability to compete, maybe even when his numbers aren't there to back it up?
Yeah, certainly not the start to 2026 that the Dodgers or Mookie Betts were looking for. You know, he missed 4 weeks with an oblique strain in the first week of the season. His batting average is under 200, that OPS barely around 6. And he's been very adamant that this is just not the quality of play that he expects himself to be, and rightfully so. When you think Mookie Betts, you again think future Hall of Famer. And for him to sit down and be honest about, I'm 33 years old, and he told me, this is probably the best I felt, the most knowledgeable I felt about baseball in my entire career. I'm just in a learning process right now because the things that I did when I was younger in my career to get out of slumps are no longer working for me. And honestly, Danny, when you think about it, that makes sense because this is a game of adjustments, and Mookie's adjusting to life in his mid-30s. And the things that you do when you're 33 don't often feel as great as they did when you were 23. So he has been honest about the learning process, the work he's putting in. He does early work every day. He's at the ballpark around 12:30, 1 o'clock for a 7:10 game. And he was also honest in saying, sometimes that noise gets a little loud. And I asked him if it was surprising that this time it seems to have a bigger impact on him than maybe years prior. And he said, maybe. But he had to delete his social media, he said, because it was just causing too much angst as he was going home. He has a newborn baby. Him and his wife, Brianna, have 3 kids now. And he said he's just not present, and he was spending too much time focusing on the loud noises. And I think that's important for us to remember, that for no matter who you are as an athlete, they are still people at the end of the day. So he knows he's struggling. He knows the numbers aren't where he is. It's not for a lack of effort. But he was very candid and very honest in saying, this didn't feel great. And it would be nice to feel a little more supported by the fans. And of course, he's not talking about every single Dodgers fan out there, but it is a loud vocal group sometimes on social media. So Mookie Betts taking a step back, and it seemed to have worked on Tuesday. He hit 2 homers, 3-hit night, 5 RBI, looking to get right even more against the Phillies this weekend.
The Twitter tough guys out there who, anonymously can take their shots and you never get to see them or stand in front of them. I've been there, done that. So completely get it. How about, what have you learned about Shohei Ohtani that you didn't know prior to going out there?
This man really loves to pitch, and it's evident we haven't seen the full-time two-way Shohei for the Dodgers yet. This is our first season watching this, and it's evident the way that he approaches each start day. I know you both know about how Dave Roberts is managing whether or not Ohtani is going to hit on certain pitching start days, but when you watch him take the mound, he becomes such an animated, different player. And this is not to say that he doesn't care about hitting, of course, but when he's on the mound, he's been so adamant and so clear about his goal of being the first Japanese pitcher to win a Cy Young award. And when he doesn't execute one pitch, he's angry about it. We're, looking at his last start Wednesday against the Rockies, 2-0 fastball to Tyler Freeman. He yanks it. And the field mic picks up a word that we can't use on radio. And it's very un-Shohei-like, a very poised professional in all of his media. And he was kind of letting it fly in terms of the colorful language on Wednesday. We'll put it to this way, guys. His final line, he homers, leadoff homer for his second consecutive pitching start, then throws 6 hitless innings, 7 strikeouts. And as he's talking to us post-game, he's bemoaning the fact that he walked 4 batters and wasn't able to pitch deeper into the ball game. That right there says everything you need to know about Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher. 6 hitless innings, not good enough because he walked 4 guys, and he was clearly frustrated about it. That has been, I wouldn't say surprising, because nothing surprises me about Shohei anymore. He just seems to be doing everything, but it's interesting and it's fun to watch the emotional commitment that he has to being the best possible pitcher in what is a crazy National League for pitching.
I love that. And, I saw that too. On SiriusXM, I think you could say that word and not get fired, but we're not going to say it here, and we're not going to say it on TV either, but I'm sure at home you know which one it is.
Isn't it? Isn't it NSFW?
That's right. Katie, Steve just learned.
I'm learning
Steve
all
just
the
learned
acronyms now.
OOTD. Wow. He knows what an OOTD is.
Yeah.
And it's probably NSFW for most people if he does an OOTD, but I digress. I would love your global and national perspective on actually that reaction from Ohtani. And maybe he has looked a little more human, so to speak, this year, but the numbers still feel superhuman. So like in the context of his teammates watching him and the league watching him and the globe watching him, like, what do you think is his importance just in the game right now?
Oh, he's the face of baseball across the world, and he has eyes on him, rightfully so. Every single thing that he does, which I imagine is quite exhausting if you're Shohei. But for baseball fans, you just can't get enough, because you think about this, and we talk about this all the time with Shohei. He does things that we will never see again. And he does them in a way where when you're watching it, you're like, this guy is unbelievable. And you expect him to do all of these absurd things that he does. And then when he does do them, you're like, no way he's doing this again. And it's so fun to watch every start day. I understand what Dave Roberts and the Dodgers are doing here. They need Shohei Ohtani all the way through October. And to give him a couple of rest days, I think we forget how taxing it is to be a two-way player to Shohei's extent, to go out and pitch every, at this point, 6 or 7 days, because the Dodgers have that 6-man rotation, and then go out and you're hitting leadoff the next day. Do you know how tired and sore your body is after each pitching start? So I understand, for as much as I love Shohei Ohtani the two-way player. And I think, that's what makes him who he is, the unicorn. I understand what the Dodgers are doing and the difficult decisions Dave Roberts has to make in terms of every now and then making sure Ohtani gets his rest and can recover and doesn't hit on his start days. You look at the numbers from when he's slowly starting to when he's doing both. He goes much deeper into games, and I think his line is a lot more clean. Danny, he's hitting his last two pitching starts, and he's gone 5 and 6 innings, and his start 5 innings against San Diego 2 starts ago was his shortest start of the season. And again, frustrated by it. So Dave Roberts has said this is something that we have to do. We're taking it start by start, week by week in terms of if Ohtani is going to hit or not. And when he does hit, it changes how I manage. He has a shorter leash. My bullpen has to be ready to go. Shohei, of course, wants to be in there 100% of the time, hitter, pitcher. But he has been agreeable in saying, for the long-term longevity outlook of the season, maybe there are some days where I don't hit. It's been a fascinating line for the Dodgers to walk so far.
Yeah, it certainly has been. And Dave Roberts does it as well as anybody possibly can. That's for sure. Andy Pages is playing out of his mind so far this year. What's the difference in his game this season?
I think it's the confidence. When Andy Pages started last season, there were some serious concerns about whether he could stick in center field. I think the bat has always kind of played and come along, but we're seeing now a real commitment to the Dodgers' next superstar. If Andy Pages was on any other team, really, he would be this main storyline of their season. He has been one of their most consistent players, one of the best offensive players in the National League. He ranks in the top amongst the top in center fielders in all of baseball. And Fabian Ardaya, my counterpart at The Athletic, has a really good story about how Andy Pages recommitted to becoming an elite center fielder. We're going to talk a lot about Pages' pop, the OPS, the way that he can hit in really any spot of this lineup and help carry an offense that struggled in most of April to start the season. Looks a little bit better now, of course. But really what Andy has been able to do in center field to lock down that infield or that outfield I think we've seen him start to round into one of the most complete players on the Dodgers roster. It would not surprise me at all, Steve, if this is a guy who makes the All-Star game, because he certainly deserves it the way that he's played. Outside of Shohei Ohtani, in my opinion, there has been no one more impressive than what Andy Pages has been able to do so far this season.
I love too, Katie, that he has been predominantly buried in the lineup. I know Davis changed things up a little bit, but before Muncy was injured, like Max Muncy and Pages were two of the most productive guys in the lineup at the bottom of the order. So it's just interesting, again, speaking to the depth of the team and for Pages to kind of find his way in the shadows, but having such a large impact on the team. It's been so fun to watch. I want to look ahead to this weekend because it's a big series coming up. The Philadelphia Phillies will be in town. Zach Wheeler and Justin Robleski tonight. You can listen to that game, by the way, on SiriusXM. We got you covered there if you can't find it anywhere else. So I'm just kind of curious. Like, this is a big matchup. The Phillies have been playing really well. They've been playing well since they let Rob Thompson go and brought Don Mattingly in. What's your perspective of how you feel things can shake out this weekend?
This is a big test for the Dodgers, who have been able to take care of business against their National League foes. Took 2 of 3 of San Diego and Milwaukee last week. But the Phillies, I know their season obviously didn't get off to the best of starts, but they can really pitch. And so they'll get Zach Wheeler tonight. We'll see Jesus Luzardo at some point this weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. And it's going to be a big test for the Dodgers, who all of a sudden are facing a significant depth test. Kike Hernandez, heartbreaking situation. Rehabs to come back from elbow surgery over the offseason, plays in just 2 games before significantly tearing his oblique. He's back on the IL for what's going to be several weeks. And Teoscar Hernandez, who has been a big key lately in the bottom part of the lineup towards hamstring, or strained his hamstring, excuse me. So he will miss at least a few weeks there. Now, all of a sudden, the Dodgers are platooning in the outfield with Alex Call and Brian Ward up from AAA. It's going to be on the top of the lineup to carry some of this offense. But as we've talked about with Mookie Betts, it's been a little slow there as well. So you're looking for guys like Freddie Freeman and Kyle Tucker to step up against what has been a pretty solid pitching squad for the Phillies. For the Dodgers, though, they can easily match that. Justin Robleski's looking for a get-right game. He's been pretty solid, but the last 2 have been a little clunky. Roki Sasaki and what he's been doing, trending in the right direction. And then, of course, Yamamoto on Sunday. And the Dodgers bullpen we're probably not giving enough love to. When Edwin Diaz first went down,
give him love.
It was a crisis, right? No Edwin Diaz, their big closers, down for several months. And the Dodgers bullpen just the other day threw 38 scoreless innings. So, yeah, I guess they've been okay. But this should be a pretty early season National League showdown. We remember what happened last time these two played in the NLDS. Should be some drama. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the bullpen guys are probably upset that Miguel Rojas really inflated their ERA numbers when he came in in relief the other day. I mean, they're not happy with that at all. And so, well, Katie, listen, we're happy that you were here today. Thank you so much for making our show better. Always great to have you on.
Up, girl.
Thanks for getting up so early for us and really appreciate it. Katie Woo from The Athletic, covering the LA Dodgers. You got to continue to read her. Does great stuff, great work. And thank you for making us better today.
Anything for 2 rays of sunshine. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, you too. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to come back with the morning matchup. Our picks to click. I need to get back on the winning track next in the leadoff spot on MLB Network Radio.